So a couple of weeks ago we took a look at the 1990 Rubik's dice, and I absolutely loved checking out that puzzle. I really like looking at retro puzzles and some of the more obscure Rubik's puzzles that people might not have seen before, so I decided to take another look at a Rubik's Matchbox puzzle from the 1990s. So this is the Rubik's 15. The box is a little tattered, but what can you expect when it's about 30 years old or so? And there we go, 1990 Matchbox International. So I think Rubik's actually came out with a whole series of Matchbox puzzles, such as the Rubik's Magic, the 15 and the dice. So I'm just really interested in these specific puzzles because they seem to have dropped off the radar a little bit since then. But today, as I said, we're looking at the Rubik's 15, so let's have a look. Okay, cool. What are we looking at here? That's quite interesting actually. We have the number 15 all the way around, so obviously 15 in English. Where's Greek? Do they have Greek? Decapede, there we go. I'm learning Greek, that's why. It's irrelevant. So like I said, I know nothing about this puzzle or how you're supposed to solve it, so let's figure that out. Arrange the numbers in sequence from 1 to 15, that seems like a normal 15 puzzle. No number can be moved individually, and there are no helpful empty spaces. When complete, there's a magic square challenge waiting on the other side. Alright, so it's a double-sided puzzle. This is quite a nifty little puzzle. It's quite cool actually. So let's see what we're dealing with here. Oh, cool. I was expecting this to turn really badly, but it doesn't. Oh, wow. So some of these are locked. Let's see. So, wow, this is really interesting. So for some reason, some of them are locked and some of them are not. I think perhaps you need a certain number. Yeah, so it looks like you need a certain number of tiles in a layer to be able to move it. So I think you need at least 4, because that one's locked as well. And then on the back, I really don't know what this is. So we'll get to that later. Okay. So I don't know if you can start anywhere. For example, this is a 4x4 here, so could you start with one here, or does it have to be in the top corner? So I'm not going to sit here and pain everybody by trying to solve this on camera. I am going to go away and see if I can solve it, but this is really interesting. I'm looking forward to checking this out. I don't understand why this works, but this doesn't. And this one at the bottom here, unless it's just really stiff, but I don't know what's going on there. It's just the top and bottom ones that are locked, so maybe it's because they don't interact with the magic square. I'm not sure, but we're going to figure it out, and I'll let you know where we get to. Okay, yeah, I am going to get sucked in, so I'll be back when or if I'm able to solve this, and if not, I guess I'll be back either way. So yeah, wish me luck. Let's see how we do. Alright, so I am back, and what do you know? We've managed to solve the Rubik's 15. Well, sort of. Let me explain. It goes without saying that you should always read the instructions, because I didn't do that properly the first time round, and I got very confused after I'd managed to solve this puzzle. It turns out that there's actually 2 puzzles here. We have the 15 puzzle, where you have to line up all of the numbers 1 to 15 with the asterisk at the bottom, but then there is also the magic square puzzle at the back, and both cannot be solved at the same time. So because we have it solved on this side, it's not going to be solved on this side. And for those that don't know, I had to actually double check that I knew what a magic square was. For this to be solved, all of the numbers across every line and every diagonal must equal 15. and that's definitely not being done here. The only one that actually adds up to 15 is this row here. 9 plus 5 plus 1 is 15. The rest of them, they don't add up, so let's just forget about that. The solution for this puzzle is actually not that difficult, but getting to a point where I understood the puzzle well enough to be able to figure out a solution was quite tricky. It took me a very long time to figure out what kind of rotations and what kind of switches we needed to do, and to figure out separate moves for each one of them. Once you break that down though, it is pretty simple, and I'm going to try my best to explain how it all works right now. Another thing to note is that we don't need a certain number of tiles in the top and bottom for these side levers to work. What you actually need is for all three to be down at once for its opposite lever to work. So as you can see, all three of the left, middle and right pieces are down, which means that the bottom layer is open. If we do that and push them up, then the top layer opens up. If we have one in the middle, neither are going to work. So it's all or nothing pretty much, and that's quite important. I don't think the solve would be anywhere near as easy if these moved freely. Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe it would actually make it easier, because then you wouldn't have any restrictions, but that's beside the point. I kind of don't want to scramble this up again because it took me a long time to solve it, but essentially what I was trying to do was build it like a normal 15 puzzle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, start the next row, 5, 6, 7, 8, start the next row, and so on and so forth. And that absolutely does not work for this puzzle, because we have this center moving layer here, which moves 3 layers of blocks at a time. That is just not possible, because any time you need to build at least 1 layer deep. So for example, if we had this at the top and we wanted to start building the second layer, as soon as we move this down, it becomes a free-for-all in the middle, and it's just impossible to preserve anything that you've built. So once I figured that out, I realized perhaps we should build it left to right, for example. So I suppose one way that you could do it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And once I figured that out, I realized we could go 1, 5, 9, 13 as one row, and then we could move along 2, 6, 10, 14, etc. And then it just became quite simple from there. Now, the important thing that I had to figure out was that we needed a certain setup of these pushy layers here. I don't know what to call these things. Levers, I guess. Levers, we'll go with that. And essentially we want to start by getting this asterisk in the bottom corner, because this bottom corner does not move, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. So everything is solved in terms of cycles on this puzzle. It's quite interesting how it works, but essentially we can turn certain combinations of layers either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So if we're going to be building this first column here, I needed to figure out a way that I could cycle these pieces. And I realized early on from just messing around with the puzzle that you can sort of do a sexy move type of move to move around the first 4 tiles of the left column and 3 tiles of this column. So it sort of moves in a cycle like this, which is quite interesting, except I was doing it clockwise. So as you can see, 1 has moved down here, the 5 has moved from here to here, and if we keep on doing that, as you can see, the 1 jumps from here to here, and it moves its way back up. So we've done 1 full rotation there. So that's how that's the basis of all of the moves, and we can do that for this second column and the first 3 tiles of the third column. So as you can see, we've moved the 2 from there to there, and I'm gonna just go back so it's not super tedious for you guys to watch. And then it also works for the third column and the first 3 of the final column, and that just leaves this asterisk at the bottom, which is never touched by those cycles. So there's a separate move for switching these 3 around, and that involves using the bottom layer, and we don't actually use this top layer at all. I don't think I did anyway, but yeah, you can essentially cycle these 3 using that move, and it leaves everything else exactly as it is. So we can do that again. And so it's essentially moved the asterisk from here to here to here, and then the last time we do it, it'll pop it back where it needs to be. And then it's solved. And we essentially build it up layer by layer like this. Then when we get to the end, we use this little corner here to cycle these last 3 pieces. And of course, when you're down to the last 2, it sort of solves itself because of how everything is permuted. So yeah, it's a very fascinating puzzle, and I didn't get around to doing the magic square on the back because I was just so excited that I'd managed to solve this. It is way more difficult than a normal 15 puzzle, but it is incredibly interesting how it works. I think it's actually quite ingenious, really, how Rubik's came up with these products, because these are, in my opinion, more engaging and stimulating than most non-WCA puzzles that are coming out nowadays. So yeah, it's a very fun puzzle, and the solution was so satisfying once I figured out how everything works. So yeah, definitely, if you can get a hold of this, I would say do it, because it's an awesome puzzle. It's held up really well. You know, the Rubik's dice, for example, I wouldn't say that that's a super exciting puzzle, but something like this really got the creative juices, you know, flowing. There was a logical sequence of events that I had to follow. There were algorithms that I needed to figure out, and then we reached a solution. And I absolutely love puzzles like that, where there's an element of discovery and application and eventually solution. So yeah, absolutely fascinating. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time I make a new video. But that is going to do it from me, guys. Thanks so much for watching this fascinating puzzle in action, and I'll see you in another video sometime. Have a great weekend. See you later.